I've got a bad feeling about this. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ricamus Reacts to RWBY. My name is Ricamus, and today I'm going to be reacting to RWBY Volume 5, Chapter 8, Alone Together. Now, RWBY's got a lot to live up to with that name, because it is one of the best episodes of Steven Universe, and the reason I said in the beginning I've got a bad feeling about this is because actually thinking about the title Alone Together made me think, well, okay, so the obvious thing, it's a 16-minute episode, so they should be able to, jump between a bunch of different people this time around. And in the thumbnail, once again, we see the 3 out of 4 girls of Team RWBY. And so, yeah, obviously they're going to be together and they're going to be talking and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like a lot of the initial stuff was already covered in the past few episodes. And I think it might be, I mean, yes, the 3 of them are going to be alone together and actually talking and sort of, reminiscing, whatever. I don't know what, if they're going to get more serious, what's going to happen. But, sorry, I'm allergies, my eyes itching a lot. I started thinking, well, who else could be alone together? And I started thinking about, well, we've got Cinder going to meet with Vernal. They could be alone together and discussing things. We could have Raven alone with people, whatever. I don't think that is. And then I thought of Blake and Sun. And I specifically thought of, well, who would Blake want to be alone with? Ilya. So I have a bad feeling about this because I'm thinking that Ilya is going to convince Blake to go off alone with her and talk maybe legitimately or illegitimately about her feelings about whether or not she's doing the right thing and whether or not she should be leaving the White Fang, and that will basically be a distraction for the actual Force to go and assassinate the Belladonnas and potentially attack Sun. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I have a bad feeling that this is when this all goes down. I don't know if it's going to come out because Blake's going to realize she's stalling, or if Blake is going to, or if Ilya is actually going to feel bad and tell her. Either way, I think this is when it goes down because it's too obvious to say, no, it's just the girls alone together, So I don't know. We're going to see what this ends up looking like, but let's get into the episode. Back to the show, back to the wall, and there's nowhere to go. Hopeless and desperate, all passing by. I don't know the words, so I'm sure I'll learn them eventually. He says about halfway through the season. More than halfway through the season. I gotta turn this down. Yeah. The battle seems unwinnable, but all we need's a miracle. Is that what it is? A miracle? I don't think there. I think of all the intros, the third intro is my least favorite, but I like all of them. They all work individually so well, and this one grew on me very quickly. Yeah, so yeah, this will be the Mistral Girls. All right. Birds. Thinking about Crow? I was about to say that. Boop. Oh, that's cute.
What are you doing up?
Can't fall back asleep.
I think my mom used to do that to me.
Well, fortunately, coffee exists. No, please. Don't worry, I put in blasphemous amounts of cream and sugar just for you. Oh yeah, nice voice strikes again. I will pour this on you and it will burn.
Stop calling her nice Weiss.
Can't believe we're
Weiss
actually
is
in this
nice.
That's what you can't believe?
Well, yeah, and all the other magic and stuff. But okay, you know what I mean.
They've
I
never been
honestly
that way,
wasn't
far
sure
from
I'd
home.
ever see you two again.
Well, here's to defying expectations.
I just wish Blake could be here with us.
Smash cut
Yeah,
to Blake.
well, she made her choice. What's that supposed to mean? I mean, she could have been here if she just stuck around. It's no big deal, though. It'll be fine.
Yeah, well, you don't know the whole story.
Don't you want
She seems less angry, though.
Why would I want her here?
Maybe not. Hey, shh. Come here, bud.
Are you still here for leaving?
Oh, whatever gave you that idea, Ruby? No, I'm totally fine. I'm great.
Okay, calm down.
Don't tell me to calm down.
Ooh, she's mad. She is mad. Hey, Marius. Come here. Come here. Watch the episode with me. It's just people. There are people outside. It's an enclosed space in here. It gets very loud. Come here. Come here. Hi. Hi. He's a good boy. You want to say hi to the people? Want to say hi to the people? Come here. Come here. Say hello. I'm a Korg. I'm a Corgi. Oh no. Alright. Okay. Maybe not. You're going to be a problem, aren't you? You're going to be a real problem this episode, aren't you? I can tell. Alright, I'll pet you. If I pet you, will you be less of a problem? You're never actually a problem. Just a minor inconvenience. Alright, let's make sure. Okay, you didn't mess up my mic. That's good. Shall we continue?
Whatever.
Seriously, the second? Okay, well. I figured she would still be mad about Blake.
Be right there.
Yep, this has got to be a note from Ilya. Yep.
We going recruiting or what? We've got the entire nocturnal section to hit up.
Nocturnal section. That's fun.
You okay?
Yeah, I'll meet you there. I need to take care of something first.
Shit. Yep, so I was right. She's pulling her away by saying that things are... That was a nice little camera effect there. Not a camera.
Yeah? Look, Ruby, I really don't want to talk about it, okay? Can you just leave me
Who's it
alone
gonna
for a bit? Oh. Hey, Weiss. Did you need something?
Oh, jeez. You okay, bud? You okay? This is a very emotional thing going on. I like that. Okay.
I know she's our team, but I'm not just going to change my mind. I'm sorry,
What's Weiss gonna
I don't
say?
think you know what it's like to be left. You have a giant family. Recitals to perform at. Dinners.
She doesn't like her family.
I didn't have any of that. My mom left me. Ruby's mom left too.
Yeah, but
I
she
was always busy with school and Ruby couldn't even talk yet.
died. Like...
I
Alone together. Ah, there's the rub.
Weiss, if you have something to say, then say it.
When I was 10, my dad finally admitted to my mom that the only reason he married her was for the family name. It was actually on my birthday. He missed the big dinner.
Dick.
She got mad. He finally snapped. I think she already knew. Looking back, I think I knew too. But hearing him say it finally pushed her over the edge.
And that's why she drinks. She and Crow can be drinking buddies.
First, it was separate lunches and dinners. Opposite balconies at my recitals. A glass of wine here, and a glass of wine there. Then it was no.
I shouldn't make jokes about that.
A bottle of wine here, and well, you get the idea.
I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have assumed.
You're right, though. I don't know loneliness like you do. I have
It's
my
just
own
different.
version.
Yeah.
And I'll bet Blake has her own version too.
She doesn't have to be alone, though. I was here for her. We all were. She chose to leave us.
Why do you think she did that?
Weiss being a voice
The
of reason.
entire time Blake was at Beacon, she was afraid to open up to people. She tried to keep her past separated from us. She tried to protect us. Eventually, those walls she put up came down. And the moment they did, the one thing she was afraid of actually happened. The universe proved her right.
No one blamed her for anything. If she had just
She blamed herself.
I would have known that. How could I be there for her if she doesn't let me? What if I needed her here for me?
I know it's not easy. I wish she hadn't left too. The only thing we can do now is be there for her when she's ready. When she comes back.
If she comes
I
back.
was gonna say that, yeah.
She will. Yang, you, Ruby, and even Blake are more like family to me than my brother or even my own father. I would do anything for you three, and I'm willing to bet Blake feels the same way. So, when she's ready, I'll be there for her. And I know we're
What
not as
growth
close,
Weiss has gone
but
through.
I'm here for you too.
Is, everything okay?
Yeah, it is.
It's actually kind of showing Ruby's immaturity a little. She just doesn't know how to handle Yang's emotions. I didn't even listen to hear what that song was. Please be good. That's cool.
Ilya, I know you're scared, but you don't have to be. My family and I, we can keep you safe. I'm sorry.
You can't. Or I'm sorry, this was a trap.
You can make it up to me by helping us stop Corsic and Finnick.
That's not.
No. I'm sorry.
Oh, we're seeing more of this guy. Oh, they're just gonna kidnap her. Ooh, who's this? We got some more White Fang, but
Wait.
Spider.
I've got her.
Well done, Sister Trifa. And to you,
Cool.
Ilya! What are you doing? I tried to warn you, Blake. I'm sorry. Don't tell me you're sorry. But I am. I am sorry it has to be this way. But you and your family are holding the Faunus back. Because we're trying to protect people? In what world do you live in where attacking the innocent is the right thing to do?
You're just gonna nobody's innocent. Oh.
There's no such thing as innocent.
Yeah. There you go.
There's no right thing to do, only what's best for us. There's the humans that still hate the faunus, and there's the others who stand by and let the hate happen. But you know what snuffs out hate? Fear. I don't like hurting people. But I'll tell you this.
That's not how the Jedi work. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate.
Look where it's gotten you.
Hate leads to suffering.
We all have to make sacrifices for the greater good, no matter how much it hurts. And you think killing me is really
No.
for the greater good?
You're not dying. Yet.
But getting rid of your family is. You wouldn't. You can't. I won't let you.
What are you gonna do?
That's why you're being sent to Mistral. To Adam. Ilya, please. You don't have to do this. This isn't you. Yes.
I wonder if... No, I'm assuming she can't escape by you creating a clone.
Then you were just too busy falling for Adam to notice. I was always jealous of the way you looked at him. I wanted you to look at me that way. But we can't always get what we want. Yuma, with me. You two, get her to the docks. Let's go, traitor. No! What?
Oh. Did she know?
Thanks for the backup.
Thanks for the invitation. You okay?
No. You heard Ilya. My family's in danger. Call the police and let's go.
Right.
I did not... well, I wasn't sure which way that was gonna go, but it was a nice little switch. Fuck. Shit. I kind of want to see Kali fight. Funny.
Get out of my house! Kira!
Shit. Good to see Kira fight too.
Go find my wife.
Oh. See another fox? Like.
I believe it's time our dear chief.
Those are cool.
Yes, I'm afraid I'm inclined to agree.
So he has claws. A little bit of primal rage there. Oh no! Why? We're in the middle of it. I didn't even say that much during that, but I was just like, ah. Cool. Wait, does she have multiple eyes? Oh no, that's just colors. I kind of wish we could see just the full, you know, the full view of the concept art. Oh boy, that was... I don't know how much I'm going to scan through this one, because there's less I guess no, it'll help me remember things. That was intense, and that didn't entirely go the way I thought it would go, but it definitely was going the way that I thought it would go. So let's see. We start with this short conversation between the girls. And I think a lot of it is... I think even though they've all matured and changed, I think they're really showing RWBY is still a lot younger. You know, she's a little bit less mature. You know, she doesn't take a moment to really talk. She just, you know, drinks her coffee. And Weiss and Yang are the ones that are just kind of rough. Yang is definitely still angry at Blake, which, you know, is to be expected. And did I say Yang? I said Yang, right? Yeah, Yang is still angry at Blake. The fact that she left. Yeah. It's like, once again, Weiss seems to get it, RWBY doesn't. And yeah, RWBY doesn't know how to handle that. Yang's anger, which is interesting. So here, I like what they did with this. All right, so I didn't actually read the note before. Things going too far, not sure what to do. Find a quiet spot, I'll find you. Come alone, please. Okay. So yeah, this is basically on par with what I was expecting. Her to sort of pull her away from everything, so that they could kidnap her and, or, you know, at least get her away from the family, and then, you know, somehow get her off of Menagerie, which, you know, that was obvious what they were going to do. But what I liked about this scene was that it seems like either she found the note earlier and replaced it, and then found it again for an audience, to discuss it with Sun, or maybe I'm not sure how she communicated to Sun that she needed backup, or that she needed him to sort of tell them. Maybe maybe there was a signal that they had in the voice, or maybe it was that, I mean, maybe they discussed this, and maybe they suspected that something like this would happen, and, you know, basically they had a code put together. Yeah, maybe, yeah, they had a code put together so that he could back her up if something like this happened, whether or not it was the right thing. Or maybe it was that she knew he would be following her anyway. I don't know. Yeah, there are a lot of possibilities here, but I like that little switch. I was a little worried that she was just going to get dragged to Mistral, and the family would just die. That being said, I it's still a little frustrating because I want her to get the Mistral. But there's a lot. This is actually really intense, and I want to know, you know, what's going on more. Anyway, continuing on, we have, you know, Yang looking at the photo of the four of them, and Weiss being the voice of reason and being able to sort of relate in a way, not necessarily in the same way, but still being able to think of, you know, basically look at what's happening, say, like, I don't know exactly what happened with you, but this is what happened with my family. And my boy is sick. I don't know if you can hear that. So yeah, we got to hear specifically what happened with her family, and I mean, it sort of makes sense. You would expect that. We already knew that her mother was a drinker, and that the family was kind of broken in some way. But we didn't really know what had caused it. I mean, and it makes sense. I mean, we already, I think we already established that Jacques was in it for the power, and he basically used the children as assets. You know, that was implied more than anything else. But it's good to actually hear it out loud, as terrible a thing it is. Hang on a second. Right, so this is along the lines of what we knew. Okay. Along the lines of what we knew, but we got, yeah, so Jacques is an asshole. We found out that we knew that he wanted power. He married into the Ch8 family, took the Ch8 family name so that he could have that power, and he then revealed this to the family, not even to, yeah, to the whole family basically. And I'm assuming that Whitley loved this. But yeah, this happened at Weiss's birthday. This is yeah, and her mother just started, distancing herself and drinking. It's sad, really, because yeah, this whole distant mother thing is just kind of terrible. It seems to be a trend in this now, um, in the series now. Although not with all mothers, I guess. Maybe it's just anyway. Yeah, so this was really sad. Just like gradually over time, this family became more and more broken, and it's obviously not the same, and Weiss is obviously still very privileged to some degree, but it's had an emotional toll on her, and I think in a sense, it helped her grow to become a better person, because she saw how terrible her family was, especially when in comparison to the new family that she was making with Team RWBY and people at Beacon. And it's just really nice. I mean, I was already getting that feeling in the last episode where she was saying how, in this episode where she says, you are more my family than um, any of them, any of my actual family. I get that. I could see that already, and how happy she was to be back with the team again, especially with the hugging of Yang, and then the hugging of Yang and RWBY, and just the having a good time and interacting with everybody at dinner. You just seen how much she's changed, and what's interesting, it's another thing that I can relate to Weiss in a sense, not in the broken home part, but in the finding a family outside of your blood family, one that you are actually closer to. And if any of my family is watching this, I would be surprised, first of all, but also I do apologize. But what I mean is, I grew up very, other than my direct relatives and a couple of random cousins that over the years have traveled to where I live more frequently. I was pretty distant from the majority of my relatives. My grandparents and my cousins and aunts and uncles, they all lived in a different state, pretty far away. And so it was basically just me, my sister, my mother, and my father, and anybody who would come visit. And so we sort of have created a separate, we live in New York, our New York family, and so they're just like friends that we grew up with, like people who were close with my mother when she was basically alone in New York, raising me and then my sister. So those kind of friends, and then friends that I met in school, whose families we sort of brought in, and we've just become this big family. We've had these huge Christmas parties. This year we had a huge Thanksgiving, and so I know what it's like to feel closer to a family that is not necessarily blood related than your own blood related family. So that was a long way of saying that I can relate to Weiss a lot, and appreciate what she's saying a lot. As for, yeah, and like I can't relate as much. And I mean, you can always relate in certain ways to different characters. Can't really relate to how Yang is feeling, because I don't necessarily have the abandonment, the feelings of abandonment that she has gone through. But it hurts, you know. I feel for her, even though what happened with Summer. And what's interesting is that she actually confirms that Ruby was really, really young when Summer left. So, like, Ruby probably doesn't have that many memories of Summer. She kind of does. Maybe she was sort of coming into her own to the point where she can remember her a little bit. But it makes a lot of sense um, that, yeah, Yang was the surrogate mother. I said this in the last episode, that Yang became more of a surrogate mother to Ruby and sort of took over and had to fill that role, but there was nobody else there for her. Even her father was distant because he was, you know, wrapped up in the school and also, like, you know, heartbroken about everything. So Yang had it really hard. And I could see why it would be hard to reason with her about how hurtful it was that Blake left. Not only because she felt like she could help Blake and that she needed Blake's help, but because Blake was such an important part of her life, and then she was just gone, just like her mother, just like her stepmother, and it's, yeah, that's rough. So it's understandable. We can't necessarily agree with her, but we understand why she feels that way. But I think what is good about this scene is that now we've got Weiss and Weiss helping her, and, you know, saying how even though it hurts, Blake probably had her reasons. Why do you think she had these reasons? You know, she was, and actually, and really, like, it's really amazing that Weiss is the person that's doing this, because if you know, just think about her relationship with Blake early on. I mean, obviously, you know, there was a whole, you know, black and white thing going on, and, you know, her obviously issues with the faunus, but, you know, they grew together over this past year. Actually, I guess a year and a half now. Um, yeah, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, um, but yeah, and I loved hearing this one from Weiss, who's just become so mature and has grown so much, and has become such a good friend. And what's also interesting is that we haven't it's funny thinking back too, because we haven't seen that many interactions between Weiss and Yang in the past. Um, yeah, I mean, for the most part, a lot. I mean, I guess, you know, they fought together. That was that, and they also, you know, organized the. You know what? They did have a lot of interactions. Maybe I'm just thinking about the first volume because, you know, it was minimal, but in volume two, they planned the party together. They planned a dance together, and, you know, they you know, butted heads there. But in volume three, they actually fought with each other in the doubles round. So, against Team Funky. So that was yeah. So and she did come to support her when everything happened in fall. You know, so yeah. So they have actually had a significant on-screen relationship. Um, uh, yeah, this has been great, and I love. I think it's interesting that. So I I've said before, I don't like live and die by ships, but I do enjoy them, and I've, you know, Bumblebee is kind of fun, but I don't know if I could justify this as that kind of emotional hurt, or if it's just because of the abandonment, or all, you know, there's a whole bunch of other things. You know, it could be that there's that extra layer of, you know, maybe there was some romantic feelings there. I don't know, but yeah, there is that other layer that could potentially be there. It would be cool if it did sort of come out like that, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a little bit, because that is actually somewhat related to that is somewhat related um, to Blake's story in this episode. But yeah. But I mean, she is. What's nice is that she's not being angry about it in this scene anymore. She's sad. And I feel like this is a good progression for her. Yeah. And then we finally get to. Ooh, this. This is perfect. It almost looks like, just the way I stopped here, it almost looks like she's pissed off at Ruby for just coming and checking. Is she not mad anymore? Yeah, sorry. It's just sorry. This is, once again, I'm just, you know, Ruby doesn't know how to deal with every situation emotionally. And sometimes it's interesting that people that we're closest to, I find that it's sometimes harder to help them emotionally because you are almost too close to them. And there's all that extra baggage, and also just, years of experience. This is, anyway. Yeah, so we get into Blake and Ilya. I love this. I thought she was just stepping out of the shadows. I didn't realize that she'd actually darkened herself, and I liked that reveal. But yeah, so I thought that there was going to be more of a discussion, but I'm more of a discussion before the reveal. But I like that they sort of got to the betrayal kind of right away. I like that we have now a spider faunus. So we have 2 arachnids. That's kind of cool. And then we've got that bat faunus, and then I don't know what the other faunus is, but you have to give credit to Ilya for sort of sticking to her guns on this. But I like, so what's interesting here is, she's talking about how it's one of those things where a lot of times we can't, we think we know a person, but we don't, we only know them from our perspective. And a lot of times the way that we act, we don't understand, we don't realize how it's affecting other people, and how when we're wrapped up in our own stuff, we don't see the development of other people as well. So a lot has happened to Ilya while Blake was off doing her own thing, while, like she said, while she was falling for Adam. And not only was it that, she was growing differently and maybe she felt ignored, but also because so there's the reveal that she felt romantically toward Blake, or at least, it appears, that's the way that it sounds. I think she turned a shade of pink too. Sort of blushed on this, but yeah, like I said, I'm colorblind, but I can sort of guess at colors, and yeah, that sucks. When you're, it sucks to get really close to somebody and sort of get to feel romantically toward them, and to just watch them kind of fall for somebody else. I can relate to that. A lot of people have gone through that, and it sucks. But yeah, it and I don't think that's what pushed her over the edge, obviously, but it is what put the distance between them, so that it's one of those things that she can't easily talk her way out of it. She can't convince Ilya that she's going down the wrong path, because she's been going down for so long, and they have been so separated for so long, that there isn't that weight of the close friendship anymore. There's the memory of the close friendship, but that's not enough to necessarily sort of fix what is broken. Anyway, so we get through all of this. Basically, we get as far as revealing. It's basically like Blake gets her to reveal all of her plans, so that she can now thwart them as best as possible. But it's nice. I don't. Once again, I don't know how she was able to communicate to Blake to Sun, or if Sun had just followed her. But it's great that this happened. For a moment, I really did think that she was just going to be out for, down for the count and be on her way to Mistral, and then Sun was going to be involved in just saving the family, if the family was even going to be able to be saved. So I'm glad it's going this way. But yeah, so we've got this, and now we've got the shootout. We see Kali with a gun. Would like to see if she's somewhat badass. I mean, she was in a somewhat militant organization, although I guess they left as it got more militant. So maybe she is less of a fighter. But that doesn't mean she can't fight. And then we get this nice Winston moment with with Gira against the oh my god, the RWBY twins. No, I don't know if they're twins actually. The RWBY siblings, brothers. There we go. Which they got these really cool. They're not size, but they're. Honestly, it looks like a unicorn horn with blades for. It looks like a little dirk with a unicorn, like made out of a unicorn horn, and what is it called? The cross guard is blades. Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze again. Maybe not. Okay, but maybe it's like a drill. I don't know. I would be very curious to see how these weapons perform in the next episode because they cut it off, but they are definitely confident going into this. Oh yeah, sorry. So this is the second time. This is the second episode in a row that I've mentioned Overwatch and Primal Rage. Mentioned Winston. In last episode, I was talking about it in relation to Ren, and this episode is to Gira. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a We get the reveal of the claws. I mean, we already saw him fighting. He's very strong. Look at that. So tell me, Gira, don't you think you might want some more protection? Maybe some armor? You don't like the double standard? Sorry, you remember last volume, and he was talking about more armor would be nice for Blake, right? Anyway. Yeah, so cool. We're going to get to see him fight, but next episode. Really, really cool designs. Okay. Oh, yeah, so let me just... Okay, so overall, I thought this was a great episode. We got some very emotional discussions, and I'm really sorry about how it got a little broken up in a few places. It happens, but it was more of a listening and being like, "Oh my god," rather than a like really like or like huge stuff or crying or anything like that. So I don't know. I'm sure that some of the more empathic people will cry. I'm pretty empathetic, but sometimes I am less emotional. I don't know. Maybe I'm not gonna put that in. Anyway, one thing I will say is, so I know I got a little bit of flack for this last volume. Not and I don't think a lot of people agree with me. I had initially thought that there was a sort of so last volume during the fight with Tyrion, the thing that caught my eye was, and a few other people had mentioned this, not everybody thought this, was that Tyrion took an interest in Jean, and I wasn't sure what it was. It could be that he sensed a sort of strength to him that he was interested in, or it could be a romantic thing. And I sort of complained about the fact that the first the first potentially homosexual character that we're seeing in the show was evil, because that's actually a common trope in that's a relatively common trope in or it was a common trope in Hollywood, to basically have this sort of like flamboyant sort of homosexual esque character, you know, whether confirmed or not, that is the villain in a story. And so that bothered me, just because it's like it's a trope, and you know they don't have to do that. They, you know, that can be a little bit annoying, especially for representation. Now they've gone a little bit further, and they've actually shown, at least in the background, homosexual couples, which is really nice, and I'm glad for that extra representation. And now they've confirmed one of the, I guess not a main character, what one of the, I guess one of the larger characters is now, at least it appears to be, confirmed as romantically interested in a woman. She may be bisexual. She may not necessarily be out, but did have romantic feelings. You know, you know, there is a spectrum along there, and regardless, uh, there is a character now in RWBY, who is, you know, a speaking character, not just a background character, who has had romantic feelings for another woman. So, which is great. The problem is, once again, is that she is on the villain side. Now, she may be a little bit more sympathetic, although this episode has made her a little bit less sympathetic. But once again, you know, and this is just me kind of reading a little bit too into it. It's a little tropey again. And they don't have to throw homosexual characters in. It's great to have extra representation. It just kind of sucks that it's falling into the bad guy camp again. I mean, it's possible that there is something in there is something else going on within Team RWBY. You know, we don't know whether or not any of those ships will actually sail, but right now the only thing that's actually been confirmed is that there have been romantic feelings toward Blake by Ilya. For me, I think it's great for representation, but like I said, it's a little bit awkward because of that trope. That being said, I can get past that, because I think it's still cool, and it's sad, it's sweet, and you know there are a lot of, you know, it's relatable, and I think, you know, I think it's good. I just, you know, if they're going to do it, you know what, it's fine. This is one of those things where I'm being a little bit too sensitive about it. And I know I have a tendency to do that sometimes. Like I go a little bit too far, because you know this is, yeah, it's coming from, I'm an ally. I'm not a I'm not I'm what is it? I'm a cis middle class white male. I'm married to a woman. You know, I never, you know, yeah, I'm, yeah. So it's not like I, yeah, I'm a cis heterosexual white male. It's not a lot coming from me, and I can't really speak from a personal experience. I just speak from an ally's perspective, and like I said, I go too far sometimes. I do that same thing with feminism, where I sort of read a little bit too far into things. But that being said, I still, you know, like, I think I think it's just a good thing to point out. It's something to be aware of. That being said, like I said, I keep going back and forth, and I don't know how I'm going to edit this down, because I've gone a little bit like off the rails here, and I kind of wish I could reorder this. I probably could reorder this to make it a little bit better, but it's still cool that they're showing more LGBTQ. I don't know the rest of the letters, representation. So yeah. And it's related to a main character, which is cool. So yeah. uh, Anyway, I don't really know what else I'm going to say about this episode. I think it was a great episode, and I really hope that it's getting closer and closer to Christmas, and I'm really worried that they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger and then just not have an episode for weeks. I mean, they haven't had any World of Remnants, so I'm a little bit nervous that the next episode is going to be a World of Remnant rather than a continuation. And then it's just going to go on break or something, and it's going to suck. But maybe they're not doing the World of Remnants because they have now extra. They have 2 extra episodes. All right, so that's the episode. I can't wait till next week. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Be kind about my, attempting to be an ally and sort of, flubbing at it thing. So, let's have we can have a discussion about that. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.